From now, I would like to talk about new function of MR6000 dry eye applications. In this presentation, I am going to talk about basic information of 5 features of dry eye applications in MR6000 and some usage examples. Here are the topics in this presentation. First topic is basic knowledge about dry eyes. This article is explaining what the dry eye syndrome is, and it is just quoted from internet, so I am not trying to read each sentence, but in summarization, dry eye syndrome is disease that the stability of the tears decreases by various factors. This is structure of lacrimal fluid, and it is role. The lacrimal fluid is divided into 3 parts: lipid, aqueous, and mucin layer. 98% of the lacrimal fluid is composed of water, but important part would be lipid layer, which is making tears condition stable. There are many of symptoms of dry eye syndrome. Eye hurts, cannot keep opening eye for long, eye gets dry easily, and so on. On the other word, if there is something wrong with the surface of the eye, it can be said that dry eye is suspected. Also, it would be recommended to perform dry eye diagnosis in case the patient have any subjective symptoms. Furthermore, if the patient is planning to have eye surgery, it is important to test dry eye, because eye surgery may cause dry eye or worse it. Here is the several of major dry eye syndrome cases and its causes as well as treatments. Most basic treatment for dry eye is eye drops. There are many kinds of eye drops depending on the cases or symptoms. Other than eye drops, there is IPL, intense pulse light, as a treatment for meibomian gland dysfunction. And the use of punctal plug is effective in patients with reduced lacrimal fluid. So now, I would like to move on to the topic about features of MR6000 dry eye applications. There are 5 functions in MR6000 dry eye application: T-SARS, meniscus height, meibomian gland, hyperemia, and blink. Important functions are T-SARS, meniscus, and meibomian glands. And hyperemia and blink are the functions that providing a supplementary information. I would like to explain one by one from the top. So, first function is T-SARS. T-SARS stands for Tear Stability Analysis System, which evaluates tear stability by analyzing changes in distortion and blurring of projected Maya rings images under keeping eye open from 5 to 10 seconds. The measurement area is 8 mm. RBUT is ring breakup time, and dry eye syndrome is suspected when it is 5.0 seconds or less. Here are the sample images of T-SARS. Left image with green map is when measurement time is 5 seconds, and right one with blue map is when measurement time is 10 seconds. With the 5 seconds map, we can only observe breakup areas that occurred within 5 seconds. And with 10 seconds map, we can also see the breakup areas that occurred after 5 seconds until 10 seconds. This is the screen image during T-SARS measurement. The red or pink colors on the Maya rings shows broken area. And there is graph under the camera image. Green line means eyelid, and high green line indicates the eye is opening, and low green line indicates that the eye is closed. B1 is analysis start point. The analysis starts 0.5 seconds after measurement starts. A small black inverted triangle indicates breakup point, which appears when the amount of broken part area goes over the threshold. In the graph, the red line shows the amounts of changes of the broken area. This is a sample video of T-SARS measurement. As we can see from the movie, T-SARS in MR6000 achieved similar video expression with fluorescein staining by analyzing method improvement. Here is the difference of TSAR's analysis between our previous technologies. In RT7000, the amount of distortion was calculated from differences between the initial image and image per second. On the other hand, in MR6000, the amount of distortion is calculated from differences among each captured image 10 times per second. So new TSARs will not be affected by the initial condition of the eye surface immediately after the eyelid is opened. Here is the image of difference of TSARs between RT7000 and MR6000. In RT7000, we used only the shape change of the Maya ring, so the amount of change was not detected enough. In MR6000, we could increase the recognition of the amount of change for each captured image by changing the calculation method. Here is more information about the red line in the graph at the bottom of the analysis screen. Actually, this can also help us to speculate the symptoms of dry eye. The top one, which there is no distortion observed, it is normal eye. And like the second example, the amount of distortion gradually increase, that is suspected to type of lacrimal fluid decrease dry eye. Third example, which the distortion is observed from the beginning and gradually increase, which is suspected to SPK, superficial punctate keratitis or some other corneal disease. So the initial breakup is not because of dry eye but because of corneal disease. With such case, MR6000 perform offset processing automatically, but can be evaluated without being affected by SPK etc. And last one is example of decreased wettability dry eye, which the distortion is observed from the beginning but the amount of distortion decrease. So this red line is not only for checking the amount of distortion but also helps to diagnose dry eye. Next, I would like to move on to the topic about meibomian gland. As I talked in the first topic, tear films are mostly consisted by water, but they have a layer of lipid on their surface to keep the water from evaporating. The meibomian glands in the eyelids secrete the lipid. Meibomian gland dysfunction, MGD, is a disease in which the function of the meibomian glands is abnormal for some reason, such as blockage or dropout, and is associated with chronic eye discomfort. The left picture shows a patient with normal meibomian glands, and the right picture shows MGD patient with the loss of meibomian glands. It is important for the patient complaining dry eye that we check the meibomian glands, looking at the tear meniscus to check tear volume, and looking the BUT and pattern of fluorescein staining. When it comes to the meibomian gland observation, it is really hard to do by slit lamp. There is a study about the relation of MGD and the dry eye cases. Among dry eye patients, 14.5% are categorized as lack of water type, 49.7% are categorized as lack of lipids type, and 35.9% are both of them. So totally, 86% of dry eye are related to lack of lipid. That shows how important to observe meibomian glands condition with the dry eye patient. It is said that wearing contact lenses causes dry eye, and that is because contact lenses and meibomian glands rubbed while blinking. I told that observing meibomian glands by slit lamp is difficult, however, it is pretty easy with MR6000 because there are several of support function. Manual adjustment function supports to take picture of meibomian gland. Simultaneous shooting of infrared light image and visible light image helps meibomian gland observation. And there is function that identifying disease area in visible images. It is recommended to observe lower eyelid because upper eyelid is difficult to observe. When it comes to the meibomian glands observation, it is recommended to adjust the contrast and brightness after measurement because analysis result will be affected by the way of eyelids turning, how the light hits, or focusing. And MR6000 is not only capture and observe meibomian glands, but it can classify meibomian glands score from 0 to 3. The analyzation takes 5 to 12 seconds. Let us see the image of each score. This is example of score 0. There is no disappearance of meibomian glands. This is score 1. 1/3 of meibomian glands disappeared in the measurement area. This is score 2. 1/3 to 2/3 of meibomian glands disappeared in the measurement area. And this is example of score 3. 2/3 or more of meibomian glands disappeared in the measurement area. Next function is meniscus height. Meniscus is tear height that is accumulated between eye and eyelid. This height is very important to diagnose dry eye disease because it is said to represent the amount of tears in the entire eye. Normally, the range of meniscus height is from 0.2 mm to 0.3 mm. For example, meniscus height tends to be 0.1 mm or less in case of decreased wettability dry eye. The meniscus height will be highlighted in yellow when the values is from 0.1 mm to 0.2 mm, or more than 0.3 mm. And the value would be highlighted in red when it is less than 0.1 mm. Here is the display layout of meniscus height analysis screen. When you enter the analysis screen, please press Add button on the right, then touch the picture, so the measurement cursor appears. Then please adjust the measurement position manually by the direction arrows. Measurement result is displayed below the camera image. The fourth function is hyperemia. With this function, we take an anterior surface eye image and show the probability of each hyperemia grade. In case this grade is 2 or more, there may be disease not only on the surface of the eye but also behind the eyes, and may need to introduce special doctors for allergology. This classification helps to decide which kind and how much amount of eye drops we need to prescribe. The last function is blink observation. This application is to check the blinking condition because blinking dysfunction might affect the tear stability. For now, there is no threshold value or classification, but just observing the blinking conditions. So those were the 5 functions in dry eye applications. And now, I would like to talk how to use those 5 functions for the dry eye diagnosis in the clinical operation. This is one of the suggested flowchart for the use of each applications and dry eye diagnosis. This flowchart supports us to find which tear layer needs to be treated. For example, in case but is 5.0 second or less, we check the meniscus condition. If it is between 0.2 to 0.4 mm, and meibomian gland conditions are normal, we treat the mucin layer. When it comes to the order of measurement, it is said that it should be done in non-invasive order. So, talking about 5 functions in MR 6000, it would be tear meniscus, hyperemia, and blink for the first, then T-SARS, and meibomian glands at last. Summarization. Although the dry eye patient number is increasing due to the spread of digital device or ophthalmic surgery, however, there is many of causes or symptoms of dry eye and it is difficult to perform secured diagnosis or treatments. There are 5 functions for dry eye diagnosis in MR 6000 and important functions are T-SARS, meniscus, and meibomian glands. With the MR 6000, 5 functions support the determination of treatment for dry eye, which is often difficult to decide despite the increasing demand. And we can do that with the same device of refractometry, keratometry, tonometry, pachymetry, and topography. This is all for my presentation. Thank you very much.